Cahirlig, Hishik gus Hanishta gus Queenushta Glair Bolam, Dusparag, a privilege on a board Dumsa, Laura live Egan Gwynfin Shun Talktuk, Agus is Gwynfin Shun Talktuk a show in a makeshift den of Machnev our Munracht, Agus is Lair Gwil on a quadibre, Fi Cabadlagwiv, Snamina at all rowing, Agus ta Duchlana on a Vormach Roiv, Acta Suligum, Gamega Machnev Shin Funtach. Agus Gameg Anaquid Ectachtas. Over the next year, you have important work to undertake. And at this opening session, I think it's a good moment to reflect on the background to the establishment of this convention and to be clear, perhaps, about what our most important tasks are. You will be considering proposals to amend a written constitution which has been continuously in operation longer than any in Europe. The adoption of Bunreacht na HÉireann by the people 75 years ago was a remarkable demonstration of faith in democracy and a commitment to the idea of a state which respects limits on its own power. Our constitution was adopted at one of the darkest moments in the history of the world. In the face of extremist ideologies which were becoming dominant elsewhere, this state committed itself to a different course. Individual rights were recognised, controls on political powers were introduced, and the Irish people stated their faith in international law and the need for peace and cooperation between countries. In one of the then most radical changes, the constitution, drawn up primarily by the then Taoiseach Eamon de Valera and a small group of officials, ultimately removed from government and parliament the right to amend the constitution. Bunreacht na HÉireann does not belong to the political class. It belongs to the people. And they, the people, have been slow to agree amendments and have placed a strong burden on those seeking change to make their case. And that is why it is right to have a new and more inclusive approach to considering significant amendments. It is in the spirit of seeking a broad engagement and a strong consensus that I and my party have supported the establishment of this convention. I believe that, on balance, our constitution has served us well. Most of its failings come from a wider failure to address the needs of our society as we have grown over the decades. In key areas, the constitution is clearly not fit for purpose. It reinforces clearly flawed structures of government, and it does not reflect the values of today. I take it as an absolute principle that our constitution should fully protect the equal rights of all citizens of our state. Where it fails to do so, it should be amended. The concepts of equality, which are shared by most of the Irish people today, are often very different from those of 1937. A wider principle is that our constitution should set a framework for political institutions suitable for a modern society and successful economy. It is clearly the case that the skills, procedures and institutions required to address the needs of today's Ireland are not the same as they were in the past. The current crisis has exposed fundamental flaws in the structures of how Ireland is governed. The need to consider genuine and radical political reform is absolutely understood by the public. And I believe that there is a duty on us to deliver this reform. The mark of success for this convention will be a lot more than simply producing a report. It will be viewed as a success only if it makes proposals which bring forward the day when we have a constitution which fully reflects the values of our people and gives them the political institutions which are capable of effectively governing a successful and diverse country. To achieve these objectives, your work, in my view, must be carried out in a candid and direct manner. You must be willing to be challenging and to say hard things where it is necessary. Outside guidance will, of course, be important, but it must not be allowed to dominate over having a real debate. I would like to thank you and to acknowledge the commitment, in particular, of the members of the public who have agreed to participate in this convention. You are a diverse group representative of many different strands of Irish life. and I would strongly encourage you to strengthen this diversity in the way you conduct your business. In particular, you will be considering issues which concern very specific groups who may not have come through the selection procedure, in particular those who seek equal access to marriage and Irish citizens who live outside the state. And they should be invited to directly participate in all discussions which impact on their rights. And I was mindful and took on board what the chairman said in his opening remarks in terms of developing innovative ways of listening, developing informal networking and connecting with young people, which I think rhymes with what I'm anxious in terms of that essential communication with those who may not have come through the selection process. During the process where the convention was established, we argued for a much broader terms of reference. When considering the political issues identified by the government, you are fully entitled to address other points if you think that they are closely related. It is not necessary to leave everything not on the list of 8 issues until the very end. And for example, you may address reforms of the Oireachtas or government powers if you feel that they must be addressed as part of the reform of the voting system or actions to increase gender balance in politics. The entire point of having this convention is that your conclusions should step outside of what would emerge through normal political debates. May I suggest, do not be afraid to push boundaries and to make far-reaching recommendations. Your chairperson, Tom Arnold, is a highly respected and distinguished figure both nationally and internationally, and he in his time has tackled many tough issues. I wish him and I wish you well in your work and look forward to following it closely over the next year. Go raibh míle maith agam.